So this is a story that Gina Lynn and I tell in our coaching and at our Amazing Impact retreats, that helps to illustrate these behaviors of love that we write about and that we talk about. And so this is just an illustration of what those might look like in a relationship, and how they might be unseen or denied by the other person in the relationship. We were in a store as we were traveling in a grocery store. And while we were in the back of the store, we all of a sudden heard these elevated voices behind us. And so we turned around to see what they are. And it was a man and a woman. And he was saying, I don't want to go to your mother's house for Thanksgiving. She hates me. It's just going to be put down after put down there. And then the woman retorted, I don't care if you want to go to my mother's house for Thanksgiving. You can sit out in the car the whole time if you want to, but that's where we are going. And then just silence. Now, we might not have even remembered that story, except for the fact that we heard those same two loud voices in the front of the grocery store as we were checking out. This couple was checking out in the line right next to us. And then all of a sudden, above all the noise that was going on in front of the store, this woman's voice said this. Well, if I didn't have such a blank for a boyfriend, and she called him a really, really ugly name. And then she went on to say some other things about him and about some things that were going on in their relationship. Well, you can imagine his face just went absolutely white. He bowed his head. He was so embarrassed. She was not embarrassed at all. She wasn't thinking at all about the people that were around him. But he was terribly embarrassed. And he just kept his head down and kept quiet. He didn't say a word. And then the woman who was checking them out told how much the groceries were going to cost. And there was absolutely no discussion between the man and the woman who were there. There was no hesitation in the man at all, even though that event had just happened where she called him this really ugly name in front of everybody. He reached into his pocket, he pulled out his money, and he paid the cash for those groceries. Well, then they began to go outside. And as they went outside, they recognized that it was beginning to rain pretty good, and it had some frozen rain mixed in with it. We were just right at that freezing level. And again, without any conversation, with no discussing at all, just it was understood that this was the way this was supposed to be. The man stepped out into the rain to go get the car, while the woman and her young son stayed up under the awning so that they did not have to get wet and get in that much cold. And so that man went to the car and he brought the car. He picked them up so that they didn't have to get wet. In a lot of scenarios like that, I can see the woman talking to her mother later on as they're at her mother's house for Thanksgiving, and her saying something to the effect of, he doesn't do anything to show me that he loves me. So do you see the fallacy there? Do you see the problem? He's doing some things like paying for groceries for a woman that he's not married to and for a kid that's not his, simply because he is in a relationship with that woman and he knows this is what a good person in this relationship does, a good boyfriend does. And then he goes out to get the car, again, without any discussion, so that she doesn't have to experience the cold wetness that he experienced for them. Those are the kind of things that we're talking about when we say behaviors of love. They're very natural things. In many cultures, they are very understood things about this is the way that it's supposed to be. And yet it can be very forgotten things in a relationship where he feels like I'm doing some things that really communicate love and she doesn't see it at all.